The last time we saw each other, I don't know if you remember, was at the Manila Times Economic Forum, and you made a comment, a striking comment that has stayed with me for some reason or another, and that was an appeal. This, "Huwag niyo naman kami pahirapan." I think that was somewhat your phrase, and we're talking about the ease of doing business. Of course, there's a law, right? But obviously there are some gaps to it. But from your perspective, what are the things that are missing from making it easy for people like yourself to invest more, hire more, to scale faster in the Philippines?
Okay. For me naman, the ones where it can help really a lot are for the new investments. No?
Okay.
Because when
business setup?
Yeah, setting up the businesses, right? Not only that, but even to close it down. In others, you just file something here.
The dissolution here is much more difficult.
So hard, right? Yeah, and then you're gonna penalize. But at least even in the setting up, I guess I'm very hopeful still with ARTA, right?
Okay.
And Clint, what was exciting was I was also a speaker in the British Chamber of Commerce last Friday afternoon. There were several BOI officers there. And then they were talking about this new green lane concept.
Okay.
Whereas a senior BOI officer will become your account officer for key identified important projects, and they will help follow up with LGUs and the national government, and they will help fast track and make sure that things are moving, or at least help follow up. That was what I felt was missing. Kasi this new government, it's nice also. They already, in a way, we're improving ease by allowing more foreigners to come in power, diba? And some of the service sectors.
Yeah.
And then the energy investors were also very happy with what Secretary Lotilla was doing. So they noticed changes immediately. It is gumagalaw. So the key na lang now is that the problem pa rin, it takes, I think I heard 150 to 200 signatures to get the power plant. And we need power so much. And this applies also elsewhere, because sometimes even in mining, we have, this government is open to mining, but you don't see much happening because the local government, the national government don't agree. Suddenly the LG will come up with some taxes which are not supposed to have been there.
Right.
But at least with this green lane, hopefully it's an actual action step that will happen, aside from what the government is doing with PPPs and being open. I think that for me is a concrete step. So for me, that was I came out happy Friday. Something's happening, and I hope it will, even if these are key projects, but if these are big projects and it shows people that, there's something happening, they're trying to really fix it, and then sana it will have a snowball effect.
Right. As difficult or as challenging as it is, there are some bright spots, right? People I hear praise Quezon City, for instance, for having a one-stop shop. But is there any particular city or province that does it better than others? That's, based on the feedback that you're getting, that, they're drawing more attention from the potential investors relative to the other cities and provinces in the country?
I guess in general, the bigger cities are already adept at it.
Okay.
What they have is they already have their equivalent of an investment council or a department that is like a local
dedicated
BOI
to
yes, and that's very helpful, because if I want to invest in that province or that city, and there's somebody there who's business minded, who's going to help you get all the permits, for me that's key. And I have to admit, I remember many years back, I don't know if you know, but when the first wind farm, which was in Ilocos, and that was actually under BBM.
Okay, yes.
We were one of the BDO Cap was one of the investors there.
Oh wow!
So we were working with these people, and they really had an investment council board, and that really helped, because they helped us get the permits. They helped us write to, I think in this case it was a foreign European grant. So those things help, and then I've experienced that also in Clark. When they're trying to sell their location, Clark or Subic. So those are good examples, and it's good best practices. Sana the other LGUs, the other mayors and governors copy them, because that makes it more competitive.
Well, can they just go to BDO Capital? Is that a service that you provide to maybe give them pointers, or maybe to hold their hand and maybe in crafting investment policies for for their areas. Is that something that Video Capital does, or?
No, this one, I think that should be more like maybe a USAID grant.
I see.
Because it's more institutional building, as I think you mentioned earlier.
Right.
So those are the things that an ADB grant or a USAID grant or even a British grant will help with. And in fact, the British government has this new thing also. So they have more money allotted so that countries like the Philippines can benefit.
No, it's interesting you brought up dissolving companies and how that can be more difficult than setting. You're actually the first person I've heard mention that, and I've been hearing that from some of my friends. What's the consequence of that? I mean, when it's so much harder to dissolve a
when
company.
you think it should be dissolved, later on you have a tax liability.
That's right.
That's why. So in theory, I'm going to be fined for it, when in reality I wanted to close it down. It's not just a matter of notifying them. There's so many steps, and you have to go back and forth. So it is a little frustrating, and sana those things can be fixed.
Yeah, because the streamlining has been on the business registration, right? Do you think there is a need to maybe review the processes for dissolving companies?
That would be nice, if they can fix all of that.
Is there a need?
Probably not even, but maybe just somebody in the government can take charge. Is it the SEC is the primary vehicle, right? But they have to still work with the city mayors and everything else for the local permits. But it might be easier. In fairness to the SEC, it's one of the companies that have very highly ranked when we do a ranking of the government offices. We see them as very professional. But sometimes I think under Emil Aquino, maybe they're understaffed because they're working on so many things. So again, another thing, maybe the multilateral agencies can give them also grants for more institutional building and capability building.
Yeah, what other capabilities do you think is needed? There are a number of countries obviously willing and ready to help the Philippines, but where is it most needed? Because you were talking a little bit while ago, but sometimes there's this problem with the national government and the local government. Is that something that needs to be addressed? Maybe just aligning?
Oh, that will be really key. That I don't know how to resolve, because I don't know if the DILG can fix that. But one of the early recommendations we had, even 2-3 administrations before, was we want to have, for example, an infrastructure czar.
Okay.
Why is that important? Or something like that. Or something at the office of the president or the executive secretary. Because some of the complaints of the investors, sometimes they feel like they're a football pinagpapasahan ng LGU and national government.
Right.
So if you have somebody on top who can say, wait, stop your fighting, decide. Or maybe that's something that our late President Ramos was good at. He'll put you in a room, make you decide. Otherwise, this will not get resolved. We need that kind of action so that things will move and some things will get decided.
Have there been any cases that comes to your mind where the government, of course, is going around around the world, promoting the Philippines, and once they come here, then they deal with the local government and they're surprised with all of these. Sometimes it's not taxes, it's just fees.
Permits and other these things that are not there. Or supposedly there's not going to be any other tax because they have a defined IRR.
Right.
And then suddenly when they're operating already, they have this new...
There's just the garbage fee, all sorts of fees, right?
And they just have to live with it, but it reduces the return.
Was there any particular case that comes to mind that became, the stumbling block for a major investment?
A key industry that is affected by that, which has not been resolved to date, is the mining industry, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because even the large miners are saying, even if we try to fix it, the effective tax that the mining industry is paying is in excess of 50%, because they're required to make so much donations already. For the community building, aside from income tax, they have to pay all these LGU fees, even if they're not considered taxes. And because of that, that stopped us from actually doing some developments, because the returns are not really clear how much they really have to make.
Right. At the same forum that we were together at, the Danish ambassador was making a comment that the Philippines was somehow innovative in red tape.
Correct.
Well, because he was referring to
his car, I think, right? His importation of his car, yes.
Is that something that you've been hearing from the business community as well? Has there been any improvements at all, or that you've heard of, or it's still needs more attention? What have you been hearing?
I guess it needs more attention. We have a new customs commissioner. We have a new, I guess, even tax commissioner, BIR commissioner. They seem to be very, I guess, professional anyway. But sometimes I think it's the organization itself.
Yeah.
When they come in, even if they're very good, but there's so much inherent red tape and procedures.
Yeah.
I hope that can be re-engineered and fixed, right? Especially, I guess, in the custom side. That's been a perennial complaint, really.
Right. Is there any aspects of red tape and bureaucracy that needs to be looked at? You know, to be fair, sometimes there's also some inherent red tape in the way private
Yes.
companies operate. Is there something we should be looking at as well?
Good question.
I mean,
No.
the government's been, talking a lot about digitization as a way of maybe addressing that. Is that the solution, or maybe, as you said, just with digitization or not, just reduce the number of signatories? Maybe that's a better way.
I think that's it. But there has to be somebody really on top of that to study it, because even if you digitize, but if digitizing, let's say, 10 forms or 10 procedures.
It's still 10 procedures, right?
Still 10.
Right.
But if in reality, it can be cut down to 3, right? Then that's the better way. And then that's when you digitize. So you really have to step back and say, wait, why are these so many steps? Or why do we need these so many permits? Or why do they have to be done in sequence, one after the other, and one you cannot do it simultaneous? If you can fix that, because, for example, if in Singapore you can get your permits in a week where it will take here maybe months, then that's the big improvement. That's the big change. No?
Yeah, we have to take another quick break, but very quickly, do you think it's realistic for us to be like Singapore, or is there another Southeast Asian country that we can be more at par at?
Good point also. We can be like China if you're the benevolent dictator. No, but sometimes, again, there's too much democracy also. For right away, for instance, you can't, if this is already identified as a national road, you can get the person out. No? So if there's a more equitable way, faster way, they go back suing each other, and then it just gets clogged in the courts, and then the poor, everybody's affected. It's all delayed.
Yeah, well, very difficult issues to deal with. We'll be right back with Mr. Ed Francisco of BDO Capital. This is SMNI's Business Report.